I am Shane Jones. Making headlines tonight, Prime Minister Mia Amor-Mottley announces a new housing deal for public officers. Cultural practitioners get an ease from duties. Talks continue on the 24-hour polyclinic system. And coming up in sports, ICC World Cup favorites England dealt a blow, losing to Pakistan in today's featured match.
Newsnight Headlines was brought to you compliments Omega XL.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC Newsnight, starting now.
Leading the news at 7. It has been little over a year since the Barbados Labour Party swept the polls, taking all 30 seats in the 2018 general election. Now, party members have done a number of things to mark that achievement, including worshipping at churches across the island. But their biggest celebration so far took place last night in the form of a public meeting at Carlisle Car Park. Lisa Broom joins us now with the story. Hi, good evening, Lisa.
Good evening, Shane. Thanks. And as you said, the BLP celebrated last night at Carlisle Car Park, which is a symbolic location for them. Party faithful were taken on a journey that talked about the achievements of the Barbados Labour Party over the last year. It was a period which Prime Minister Mia Amor-Mottley said, during which a significant amount of work had to be done to stabilise the island, which is now poised for growth. Prime Minister Mia Amor-Mottley mounted the stage at Carlisle Car Park to rapturous applause from the many supporters who started to arrive from early for the one-year celebration. They had already heard from the members of cabinet who reported on their achievements so far and the projects that are earmarked for the future. So by the time the Prime Minister made her way through the crowd and onto the stage, they were ready. She started on a reflective note, describing her party's first year in office as intense. And looking toward the future, Prime Minister Mottley says a new housing deal is coming for public officers who earn $4,000 or less per month.
We have already started with the planning gains. We've identified for between that and the reduction of density that I spoke about, 40 acres at Lower Burney, which is being transferred to the government now, 40 acres between Yorkshire and Searles, 40 acres at St. Swithin's in St. Lucie, and we have asked the government's officers to identify another 50 acres of the marginal lands belonging to CLECO to add to that, and we are in discussions now with Sagicor as to what they can make available as well in St. Lucie.
Prime Minister Mottley told party faithful the meeting might be the last time they gather in this stomping ground, since the plan is to have hotels along the strip from Savannah to Paradise, which includes the transformation of the car park. There are also plans to transform the old NIS building in tribute to the trade union movement.
We say that the old NIS building has to go, and in there will become a park that will allow Bajans to go and recreate and to go and be able to spend time, have lunchtime concerts, evening concerts, praise up, and know and praise Clement Payne, Golden Square, and do all of the things that a proper, dignified city that has a World Heritage designation ought to do.
Ms. Mottley also says she hopes common sense will prevail in the issues which led to health officials having to push back the planned opening of the David Thompson Health and Social Services Complex and Winston Scott Polyclinics on a 24-hour basis. She also addressed the White Oak issue, saying the opposition and others have not told Barbadians the true benefits of using the company's services.
The amount that we have gotten in terms of what White Oak has saved us is what has stopped us from having to send home people in this country, is what has allowed us to stabilize this economy.
Well, Shane, Lieutenant Colonel Bostic also reported to party faithful. He explained that the accident and emergency department at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital has been reconfigured so that patients seeking treatment should not have to wait more than 25 minutes for care. In doing so, according to him, a number of specialized units have been set up to lighten the department's loads. He says a second triage station has been set up so assessments can be done faster. There's also a new discharge unit and a minor cases unit.
The establishment of the minor cases unit means that people are now sent to this unit because they're not urgent or emergency, and you receive your care at that unit, you are seen, you're dealt with, and you are discharged in a much shorter period of time. That unit caters to about 32% of patients who would go to accident and emergency and spend the whole day because they're not emergency or urgent care.
And on another issue, Shane, the health minister has called for common sense to prevail in the ongoing impasse that has prevented the opening of 2 polyclinics on a 24-hour basis. Lieutenant Colonel Bostic says ultimately poor people will suffer if the David Thompson Health and Social Services Centre and the Winston Scott Polyclinic are not allowed to open under the new conditions. He says the ministry has already addressed a number of outstanding concerns, including appointments, security and transformation. But as to the state of discussions on the issues that forced the postponement of the planned June 1st start of the initiative, well, he could not comment.
Persons in this country who have the means, who have the money, can afford to go to Sandy Creek, right, and FMH and those private clinics after hours. But we have a large portion of our population who do not have that luxury in their pocket and who will depend on this 24-hour service. And I say let common sense and good judgment prevail.
Well, Shane, there was lots of reporting there at the Carlisle Car Park. It seemed to be a very interesting event. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Okay, let's stick with that ongoing health story. A meeting has been held this afternoon to seek a resolution to the issues that have prevented the rollout of the 24-hour polyclinic services that was slated to begin on Saturday. The island's nurses are at this moment expressing their concerns about the move. Those talks involve the Nurses Association, the NUPW, and the Unity Workers Union. NUPW Acting General Secretary Dalcia Burke says after this meeting, the 3 groups will sit down with the Ministry of the Public Service to see what is the best way forward. She claims the main issue is that there aren't enough nurses.
Unless there are additional nurses, working the 24-hour shift is going to be extremely difficult. The NUPW is not opposed to 24-hour shift. As a matter of fact, we welcome the 24-hour shift because we know if persons stay sick in the country, in St. John, St. Philip, it is easier for them to get to St. John Polyclinic than it is to get to town. But at the same time, you cannot start a service if you do not have the numbers and as far as the personnel is concerned.
Well, the island's polyclinics closed early today to facilitate the nurses taking part in that meeting. Local cultural practitioners are set to benefit from duty-free concessions. News of this from Culture and Creative Economy Minister John King. The move will allow several categories of practitioners, including band leaders, visual and culinary artists and promoters, to import raw materials cheaper. Now, while that will not be exempted, Minister King is confident it will still be a major boost for people in the industry.
What we're asking those persons out there is to go to barbadosartist.bb and register as a cultural practitioner. Once you have done that, it goes into a system that here the NCF has access to, and they're the ones who are going to certify who these artists are. Once they've been certified, the next thing they need to do is to get a license from the NCF, which gives them now the ability to go to customs when they're importing or whatever, to say, look, I am a cultural practitioner, I'm a certified one, and I also have a license which gives me the authority now to import raw materials for whatever it is that I'm doing.
The minister has also announced that practitioners will no longer need a tax clearance certificate to qualify for NCF subventions.
I know that rules would have gone out stating that you had to have that particular tax clearance certificate, and I want all of the persons who will be affected by this to know that that is no longer part and parcel. It's not needed anymore.
And two of the island's top promoters support the move to grant duty-free concessions to cultural practitioners. Freddie Hill of Fast Entertainment and Rudy Maloney of 4D Entertainment say it is good for the sector.
Promoters also bring in stuff that we use in doing production, etc. So it will be a big relief in some cases.
As far as I read in this leaflet, I welcome and thanks to Minister Mr. John King. We've been talking about this for a long time, and it's finally come to pass, so thank you all very much.
Key issues related to the economies of Barbados and its regional neighbors will be discussed at a major meeting being hosted throughout the week by the Caribbean Development Bank. We hear more from our Ryan Broom, who is attending that conference in Trinidad and Tobago.
The Caribbean Development Bank's 49th Annual Board of Governors meeting is officially set to get underway at the Hyatt Regency Hotel here in Trinidad with the opening ceremony on Wednesday. This meeting of the CDB's Board of Governors is typically held in one of the bank's 29 member countries. Now, this official gathering is the CDB's flagship forum for discussion among the bank's governors and sector leaders. The buzzword of this year's meeting agenda is transformation. And as a result, there's a packed meeting program that includes a memorial lecture, seminars, and a youth outreach initiative. Among the key speakers throughout this week will be Barbados's Minister in the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Investment, Marsha Cattle, who will be one of the panelists addressing a seminar on Wednesday on the topic, From Vulnerability to Resilience, You Choose. Now on Thursday, a digital Caribbean will be the focus, and a number of speakers, many of whom are experts in the field of financial technology, will take center stage at two seminars. Among them, Kirk Anthony Hamilton, the director of Tech Beach Retreat, Special Envoy to Prime Minister Mia Amor-Motley for Investment and Finance, Avinash Prasad, and Gabriel Abed of Barbados-based fintech company BIT. Minister Marsha Cattle will also be speaking on the topic, Digital Transformation in Government. So a packed agenda here at the CDB's 49th Annual Board of Governors meeting. We'll be bringing you full reports on this important meeting throughout the week. Reporting from the Hyatt Regency in Trinidad and Tobago, Ryan Broom for CBC News.
Checking in with our regional neighbors now, Barbados is working to improve its bilateral relationship with its closest regional neighbor, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Barbados Ambassador to CARICOM, David Comachong, is to present his letters of introduction to Vincentian Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves. Mr. Comachong, who is also the island's non-resident High Commissioner, has already reached out to the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Association of Barbados. He sees trade as being important for the two CARICOM states. The ambassador was a guest on the Conversations on CARICOM segment on CBC TV8's Morning Barbados.
There are many, many areas of the relationship we have to develop, but we start there. What does Barbados need that St. Vincent currently produces? We can think immediately of agricultural products, food stuff. What does Barbados produce that St. Vincent needs? But you know, some of these things are kind of self-evident, and yet they don't get done.
Exactly.
And why don't they get done? Well, because there are probably some traditional patterns that are already in place that stop them from happening so easily.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines Association of Barbados will observe its 18th anniversary next month. President Noel Adams says its members have undertaken numerous projects in Barbados.
Supporting, let's say, the geriatric hospital, help cleaning homes, the bushing, cleaning the beaches and so on. I will also let you know that we have a membership just approximately over 128, and we have been doing extremely well here in Barbados with the support of the Barbadian people and our Caribbean neighbors, because we cannot do without them. We all need each other.
Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister Gaston Brown is to limit his comments on LIAT share negotiations with Barbados. That is until a formal agreement is announced.
I don't want to create any animosity between myself and the Prime Minister of Barbados. I think she seems a little offended that I continue to brief the people of Antigua and Barbuda and the developments. That is my style, to be as open and as transparent as possible.
The body of former Jamaican Prime Minister Edward Seaga is back on home soil. Seaga died last Tuesday at a Florida hospital after battling cancer and other complications. CVM TV reports.
Politicians, diplomats, family members and well-wishers of the late former Prime Minister of Jamaica, Edward Philip George Seaga, gathered at the General Aviation Center at the Norman Manley International Airport, awaiting the arrival of his body. Moments after 6, his body arrived in a coffin draped in the national flag of the country on a Caribbean Airlines flight. Prime Minister Andrew Holness and the leader of the opposition, Dr. Peter Phillips, as well as members of Parliament, were present in their numbers. Somber music filled the air as his body was being removed from the plane. Seaga was Jamaica's 5th Prime Minister and was instrumental in drafting the Constitution of Jamaica, as well as initiating a review of the Human Rights section. A state funeral will take place on June 23.